What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Lucid, I want to go over some of the data points, break down what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is down 5.79%. Absolute crazy day again. 201 the low, 216 the high. So I saw the data that came out first thing, and it was actually very good, justifying of the market to really push higher. And that data was PPI and also initial jobless claims. So essentially the best case scenario kind of played out with this, similar to yesterday with the CPI data. But unfortunately, there's been a lot of things that's floating around. So it looks as though tariffs are another hot topic. And I think the next target for the States is France. So I don't know why it's worth fighting over with wine and champagne and all that other fun jazz, but essentially that seems to be the target of the States. So a lot of analysts have been really stating that, hey, all these tariffs are going to really hurt just the bottom line of pretty much everyone involved, so all the different countries, and as well could really prompt a not just a local but a global recession. So I think things are really starting to spiral out. You also have Trump randomly stating, I don't know where it really came from or if he's kind of talked on it recently, but he wants to annex Greenland. I don't know what is there. I don't know if gold or oil is there. I'm not really sure, but essentially he has his heart set on Greenland. So again, that might potentially cause some additional conflict with Denmark, I believe it is. And then aside from that, you have Russia not really fully agreeing to the kind of ceasefire. So all that is causing just grayness in the broader market. Market doesn't like that. So essentially you're having just whatever happens. So one thing though that is happening specifically to Lucid though, that's not happening to a lot of other heavily shorted stocks, is shorts are increasing. So for instance, I already kind of looked at SoundHound, SoFi, a couple others that are heavily shorted. And in those cases, shorts are returning because they don't see today's pullback being justified. Whereas with Lucid, you have shorts increasing 3.33 million shares right now. So it's just someone is very much hell-bent on bringing Lucid down. 23.39% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 283.13 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost per average 2.42%, and then utilization is 100%. So another day of pure manipulation. I think at the same time, the reason why Lucid and some other stocks are starting to slowly recover, and that is because of this. So on a larger standpoint, it did bounce off of that psychological 550 mark, similar to when it was trying to break out. It did initially struggle with that 600 mark, but at the end of the day, I think it is just all just fluff. I don't feel all this downside is going to really justify this pullback. Markets and big money is going to realize that and buy up Lucid and many other stocks, because at the end of the day, even if the States does hit France with a lot of tariffs associated to, I think, wine, champagne, and whatever else, it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. So that's just my viewpoint, of course, but maybe French wine is just better than anything. I'm not really sure. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. But aside from all that though, moving over to options, 435,000 in calls, 200,000 in puts. So kind of low dollar value for that. 54% of all the options being done today are optimistic in nature. And for the most part, it looks like the optimism is that it's going to be back at that 250 mark sooner rather than later. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub $2. And you do have this kind of standing out. So for the monthly chains, June 20th, 2025 and August 15th, 2025, looks like there is some individuals betting that it is going to be sub $1. So once again, something to kind of keep in mind. As I've mentioned in the past, Lucid, I think the sentiment is very low. A lot of people are just used to Lucid in one way or another disappointing investors. So this year, 2025, Mark and the management team really needs to get their crap together and have everything flawless. So all of the new marketing that they're going to be doing has to be flawless. Gravity unveil and even the touring has to be flawless. So definitely it's a lot of high expectations for Lucid, so let me know your general thoughts. Aside from that though, on a side note, there hasn't been even anything speculative coming out associated to Lucid, so rather kind of radio silence, and that leads me to believe that maybe something is coming. In the past, Lucid usually goes silent before they drop something big, so maybe some big news might be coming. After hours yesterday, I did a video kind of talking on roughly like $22-23 million worth of buys that did happen. Unfortunately, not really much did occur from that. Like I said, maybe they were buying based on potentially the data being good, which it did. Like PPI and initial jobless claims were on point. Just it's hard to really predict what Trump is going to state, and honestly it's kind of like Russian roulette almost every single day. But aside from that though, these are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price, pretty much majority are sales, except for three, one for 132, 203, and 188,000. Aside from that though, these are all the transactions that are occurring on the dark pool, so relatively quiet today for that. But these are those two transactions that did occur after hours yesterday that I just mentioned. So 10.7 million and 11.9. The times don't really match, so kind of is fair to assume that it is separate entities doing that. So something again to keep in mind. With it at 205, it is trading between this S1 and this S2. So 206 is a must kind of close above point, has to close above if you're going to see any sort of recovery, so just watch for that in the short term. But if not, then you will be most likely seeing that high ones sooner rather than later. So Lucid really needs to kind of hit a home run this year and start to really move higher. But no new analyst ratings, no real articles coming out about Lucid whatsoever. And on the actual chart itself, it is below all the key pivotal moving averages, below the ALMA, and everything else that I generally like to look at. So technicals look very bad. Stochastic RSI, you see it very oversold, so that could potentially work in its favor. Maybe tomorrow. We do have some pretty big data. So you have the Michigan consumer sentiment, and that's actually what prompted a lot of fear. I believe it was February the 7th, and then also I believe it was like the 14th, or it might have been somewhere around that time period. That's actually what kick-started a lot of that inflationary fear, because you had this on the Friday, FOMC minutes on the Wednesday, and then Walmart earnings on the Thursday. That's what kick-started pretty much all of this downtrend. So tomorrow, if positive, then you could see a very nice recovery. So tomorrow should be a fun day as well. So let me know your general thoughts on all of that. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Give yourself a shout out if you've been buying, if you've been selling, and what you have been doing with Lucid. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.